Hello everybody, it's Professor Rich. Do you know how powerful words can be? In this class, in this video, we're going to explore some amazing English phrases that can light up someone's day, make friends smile, and maybe even help you see the bright side of things. I'm going to teach you some English phrases that are not only simple to use, but also are taken from real spoken English, which native speakers use every day. And we'll see that language in context, which is how it should always be. Are you ready to inject a little bit of positivity into your life with some English? Let's take a look at a very famous idiom, which you may have seen on the thumbnail for this video. Every cloud... Can you complete that idiom? I think some people in the chat have already done it. Boom, sleepwalker, just like that. Every cloud has a silver lining. And what does that mean? Every cloud has a silver lining. Every cloud has a silver lining. You can see in the picture a cloud, and it looks quite silvery around the outside. What does it mean every cloud has a silver lining? Is it a nice expression? Is it positive? Fluent English with me says no, they don't know. Sleepwalker says difficult times always lead to better days. Always lead to better days. I don't think that's quite right, Sleepwalker. There's something positive in every difficulty. Yes, Zoya, it's something like that. So you can always find something positive with any problem or difficulty. And that is going to be the topic of today's class. So let me show you two sentences, and I want you to tell me which of these is positive and negative. And this will give you some idea of what today's class is about. So which is positive and which is negative? This is a big problem, and this is an interesting challenge. What do you think about that? I think it's pretty obvious, right? This is a big problem is negative, and this is an interesting challenge. That sounds a bit different, doesn't it? It sounds positive. Often in English teaching, we call this connotation, that words have a connotation, a positive, neutral, or negative connotation. Now, when we change from a negative look to a positive look, what do we call that? What do we call it when we're changing our perspective? So the phrase that we use for this is called positive reframing. Reframing. The frame is like the frame of a picture, and positive reframing means you're going to take a positive frame and put that frame on the situation. So we're looking at the situation with a positive perspective. That's positive reframing. So let's have a little look at positive reframing. It's viewing things from a more positive direction. For example, I have some problems to deal with. Kind of negative. I have some challenges to deal with. That's a bit more positive. Challenges are engaging. They can be difficult, but you can learn things from challenges. And they can be exciting, engaging, fun. I enjoy playing video games, but video games are no fun if there's no challenge. So we need to have a challenge for it to be fun. So let's practice positive reframing. I'm going to show you some negative phrases on the left and some positive reframes on the right. I want you to match the negative phrases with the positive reframes. So match the negative phrases 1 to 10 with the positive reframes on the right. The text is a little bit small. Hopefully you can see that okay. You can, of course, type your answers in the chat. And if you are watching this video later on YouTube, then you can write your answers in your notebook. Writing your answers really helps. Don't just do this in your head. Actually take a pen and write your answers down. And if you have found us on YouTube, it's a great time to smash that like button and hit subscribe, because you have found a great English learning channel. We've been teaching on YouTube for about 12 years, but recently I've been doing live streams twice a week. And I've been teaching English for 16 years now, and it is my life, my passion, and my career. So take a look at those. We are making positive reframes of the negative phrases on the left. Take the negative phrase on the left and match it to a positive reframe on the right. Hello there, Dr. Archu. Haven't seen you in a while. How are you doing? Are you a real doctor yet? Maybe you are a real doctor already. I don't know. I don't think I ever asked. I am a little bit ill today. Maybe you can hear in my voice that I sound a little bit blocked. My nose is a little bit blocked. I'm a little bit ill, but you know, normally I don't get that ill. Just a few days. And I haven't had to stop working apart from last Saturday. Last Saturday was when I first got ill and I couldn't work. So any of my students in the chat from last Saturday might remember that. I had to cancel. I don't like doing that, but sometimes it happens. Oh, that's great, Dr. Archu. Yes, future plans for a PhD. One of my students recently took IELTS. They needed a 6.5 overall, and they got 7.2 average, which gives a 7.0 overall, with 9.0 in the reading, but I can't take credit for that. That was all him. He's very good at reading. But I will take a little bit of credit for his speaking score of 7.5, which we did some work on. And his writing was a bit lower, 6.0. I don't know what happened there. I expected much higher there. And he thought he did well in the writing, so something went wrong with that. Normally I deal with the questions at the end of class, Fluent with English, but he says, is it possible or true that what we think we can become in the future? If you don't set a goal, it's definitely impossible. So it's impossible without a goal. So you must set a goal. That's true. However, to say that everyone can become anything, that's tricky. You have to set goals, but also you have to adjust your goals as you go, and you have to set realistic goals. I've talked before about setting goals. We did a live class on that, talking about using SMART to set goals, and also talking about creating habits using the excellent book Atomic Habits by James Clear. I highly recommend it, and you should check out that live stream. It was about 6 months ago. If you look on the channel, you should find it. So we have plenty of answers coming in. Sleepwalker's got a full set. So we have a check at that full set to see if we agree with that. Let's have a look. So Sleepwalker says 1J. Yes. 2I. 2I. I can't win this. No, not 2I. Sorry, Sleepwalker, didn't quite get it. There's someone else got 2. Julia says 2H. No, not 2H. Not 2H. Has anyone got 2? Hugo says 2B. Yes, I do believe it's 2B. Well done, Hugo. That is the one. That is the one, 2B. Good job. So I'm going to have to type all of these, aren't I? Because I didn't type my answers before. Well done, Rich. Always good to do that. So it's 1J, 2B, 3H, 4I, 5, I think D, let's see, 6, E, 7, not sure yet, 8, D. If 8 is D, then we have a problem. 5 is not D. 5 is something else. I'll leave 5 and 6 for the moment. 5 and 7 at the moment. 8D, 9, I have too much work. Business is great right now. C, and 10, I don't have time. G, so what do I have remaining? We have A and F remaining. I'm in a position to try something new, and this is a chance to develop my skills. Okay, they're basically the same, so I'm going to say 5, A or F, and 7, A or F. All right, so there are your answers at the bottom. 1J, 2B, 3H, 4I, 5A or F, 6E, 7A or F, 8D, 9C, and 10G. Does anyone have any questions about that? So these are all positive reframes, and we do have some very interesting language there on the right for positively reframing. Failures become chances to try new things. If you don't have time or you're getting impatient, it's a chance to build patience. If you don't know what to do, then it's new and interesting and a chance to learn. If you don't know anyone, that's a chance to meet new people. And remember that a problem is actually a challenge. A challenge. So, Pachu, this is about positive reframing. This is how we reframe. We reframe by changing the negative words into positive connotations. We use a positive frame. So let's have some practice with that. I'm going to show you some phrases, and I would like you to type in the chat a positive reframe of these negative phrases. So I want to see a positive reframe of these negative phrases. For example, I always make mistakes. How can we positively reframe that? Type your answers in the chat and I will highlight the best answers. That's pretty good, Sleepwalker. I'm just going to correct the grammar a little bit there. So I'm always learning, or there's always something new to learn. There's always something new to learn. That's number one. Very good. This is a chance to challenge myself. Yes. Fantastic. Fantastic. Here's another thing to think. I improve most effectively when I'm challenged, for number 2. Number 3, we want to say something like, I'm developing my skills to solve this. Number 4, something like, I'm working on my interpersonal skills. I'm working on my interpersonal skills. Oh, that's a really good one, Zoya. Nobody listens to me, so I'll try to listen to someone else today. Yeah, that's fantastic. Flip it on its head. Very good. Yes, you can only do your best, can't you? And I think that's a pretty good idea for number 5. Instead of focusing on the impossible, focus on the possible. And the possible is trying to do your best. I think that's a very mature answer, Manuel, that we accept that we can't always be the best, but we can still be effective. We can still be effective even if we're not the best. All right, very good. Okay, everyone, now we're going to consider some conversations. I'm going to show you 2 parts of a prompt and response. That's like a conversation. Person A and person B, and person A says blah, blah, blah. Person B says blah, blah, blah. Hello, how are you? I'm fine, thanks. How are you? Great. How's your weekend? Not too bad. How about you? Okay, so conversation. I just want you to match the first part with the second part of each conversation. There are 3 different conversations. Match the first part and the second part. Oh, hello. Like and subscribe. That happens like once per class that fires off. By mistake. I think you can just about see all the words there. So 1, 2, 3 and A, B, C. Try to match those. And 30 seconds, and I'll give you the answer. 30 more seconds. You will notice that A, B, and C both have some interesting language, which you may not have seen before. And we are, of course, going to talk about that. All right, so well done, Anawats. The answer are 1B. I think we should buy a bit of gold. If the price goes up, it's a good investment. If it doesn't, it looks nice. It's a win-win. If it goes up, we make money. If it stays the same, we've got a nice display piece. So a win-win, or a win-win situation. Number 2, I've just had another job rejection. I can't believe it. I put days of work into that application. Sometimes you've got no choice but to roll with the punches. Keep going. Something good will come up eventually. Great. So 2A. And then 3 is C. This week is going great. Finally, a bit of luck. 10 new clients in the last 3 days. Hey, things are looking up. Soon, you'll have too much business. 3C. So let's have a look at some of those idioms. Let's start with this one. Roll with the punches. Has anyone in the chat heard that one before? Roll with the punches. So roll with the punches is like keep going when things get difficult. So if you're having some difficulty or you feel that things are not fair or not going right for you, then sometimes it's good to have this attitude of, you know what, let's roll with the punches. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to instead keep going. Keep going. Even though things seem unfair or difficult. So how important is it to learn to roll with the punches in life? How important is it to learn to roll with the punches in life? What do you guys think? Type your answers in the chat. Roll with the punches. Keep going, keep going. Dun, 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 dun. Just roll with the punches. It's like Rocky. You guys know that. By the way, if you are enjoying the class today, then make sure that you smash that like button and hit subscribe and tell all of your English learning friends. This is the best place to do it, and we stream live on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. UK and Saturdays at 1 p.m. UK. Sleepwalker says, yes, you should overcome obstacles and get better. It's difficult to remember that in the time, though, isn't it, Sleepwalker? When things are tough, it's really hard to remember that one day you will be out of the difficult times and the good times will come. But you know, when the good times come, they're normally really good. Zoya says it's extremely important to learn to roll with the punches. Winners never quit. That's true. Winners do never quit. However, I'm not going to say that you should never quit. I think sometimes we have to reassess our goals. We have to realize that our goals were poorly set. We always want our goals to be challenging but realistic. Alia says it's so important so you can survive even the hardest situation. And Manuel Gordillo says, after the storm comes the calm. That's true, isn't it? After a bad time, we always seem to go into this kind of flow, calm, positive situation. Isn't that right? And that's the thing that we can always look forward to. All right, fantastic. Let's move on to one of the other idioms from before. Oh, sorry about that. So, do you remember this one? Things are looking up. A bad situation is getting better. A bad situation is getting better. Things are looking up. Things are looking up. And that's how I'll say it. Hey, things are looking up. Things are looking up. In what areas of your life are things looking up? In what areas of your life are things looking up and why? If you would like to share that, you can type in the chat. In what area of your life are things looking up and why? I can tell you that in my life, health, things are really looking up in terms of health. I stopped drinking alcohol on the 27th of June, 2023. So I'm now over 8 months and my health is really good, actually, really, really good. I feel healthier than all my 30s, really. I'm fitter, doing more sport. I feel healthier than my entire 30s. So doing pretty good. I haven't felt this good since I was 26. And when I was 26, I was pretty healthy because I did karate twice or 3 times a week. And I was young, so that helps. But really, yeah, things are really looking up with health at the moment. I'm actually sick today, so it's funny to say that, isn't it? Things are looking up, but I'm sick. But you know, the sickness, it just bounces off when you're super healthy. Like you get a virus, and it's just like dong, you know. So if you get really bad flus and viruses, I think that's a sign that there's something not quite right. I know some people just naturally have a low immune system, and you can't change that. But it might also be a sign that you can change something. I highly recommend supplementation. I think it's really important to get your supplements. Check the quantities that are correct for you. But I take high dose vitamin D with vitamin K. It's important to take those together. I also take fish oil, multivitamin, vitamin B, magnesium, zinc, iron, and a few others. Let's have a look what some of you guys say. So Alia says, my English is getting better and I'm optimistic about getting a better job. Things are looking up. You forgot the idiom. Put the idiom. The economy in our country is looking up. Things are looking up. We say things are looking up for the economy. Things are looking up for the economy. Sleepwalker says, since I started practicing my speaking, I'm becoming more and more confident in my English. Things are looking up. Manuel says, I had to buy my old house because I can't pay the mortgage. The outcome, I got a new one that's worth 3 times that it cost me. Things are looking up. And Zoya says, things aren't looking up for me. I love Ukraine, but might have to leave because of the war. Ah, that sucks, Zoya. Are you still there? Wow. I can't imagine. I have a lot of Ukrainian students, and I'm very sorry that you've been caught in a war. And living in another country, it's not ideal. Ukrainians do tend to find it easier than other nationalities to get things done, both because of their attitude, but also because the governments are quite open to Ukrainians. The Canadian government comes to mind. Also, our government, not too bad. From other countries, it can be more difficult sometimes. But still, my Ukrainian students here in the UK do have lots of problems. It is difficult. It's not easy to live in another country while there is a war in your country at all. But there's a huge Ukrainian community here, Zoya. Like all over the UK, really. So anywhere you go, you'll find other Ukrainians in a similar situation, make friends, things like that, if you do decide to come here, for example. But it is difficult. Excuse me. There you go. Pallavi says, it may be harmful to take vitamin tablets too much. What do you think? Yes, it is. It is harmful to take anything too much. It's harmful to eat too much broccoli. It's harmful to do too much exercise. Of course. And it's harmful to have too little of bad things, like cholesterol. If you have too little cholesterol, you die, even though cholesterol is kind of a bad thing normally. So, yeah, of course, there's such thing as too much. You can get a blood test, Pallavi. That's probably the best way of finding out if you're overdoing it. All right, everybody, let's move on to the last one. So the last one was, I love this one. It's win-win. Come on the stream, smash that like button and hit subscribe. That means that you will get more videos from Prof Rich, and it means that the channel will get more people recommended on YouTube. It's a win-win. It's a win-win. Win-win situation when all outcomes are positive, and also we can use it to say when something is good for everyone involved. So there's 2 ways of using this, which are similar but slightly different. Similar but slightly different. So when all outcomes are positive, or when the outcome is good for everyone who is involved in the situation. So I'm going to post in the chat, and I would like to ask you, which of these win-win situations are most beneficial? Which of these win-win situations are most beneficial? Which of these win-win, are they even all win-win situations? You can have a look here. What do you think about that? Which of these win-win situations are the most beneficial? Paying people to recycle, free gym membership at work, programs to help people study abroad, and allowing people to work from home. People might say these are win-win situations. We might want to think, why or how are these win-win situations? Pallavi says, I mean to say that you can eat more healthy food to get vitamins naturally. Yeah, but who has time for that? Who has time to perfectly balance their diet? Because I don't. I mean, I take 4,000 micrograms of vitamin D every day with 400 milligrams of vitamin K. Now, to get 400 milligrams of vitamin K, I would have to eat about 100 grams of kimchi every day. And actually, I never eat kimchi, and kimchi is quite expensive. And to get 4,000 micrograms of vitamin D, I would have to go outside in the sun for at least 30 minutes every day. And in the UK, sometimes you can't go in the sun. There is no sun. So, hey, it's a complicated situation. And Pavia says, Rich, I think you're not mad at me. I think you are not mad at me. I didn't even realize you were here, Pavia. When did you join? Hi, everyone. I hope I am late. What do you mean you hope you're late? You hope you're not late, but you are late. You've missed all the good stuff. We're just mopping up now. This is practice time. Sleepwalker says, allowing people to work from home is a win-win situation for employer and employees, so as not to waste time during the lockdown, for example. Also, some people say that people are more productive when they work from home. What do you think about that? Do you think that people are more productive when they work from home? Any other comments about the others, folks? Do you think that any of these are not win-win situations? If not, could I ask you, can you give another example of a win-win situation? Can you give another example of a win-win situation? Type your answers in the chat. What's a win-win situation? Can you give another example of a win-win situation? It's a win-win. A win-win situation. Pay people to recycle is a win-win because people get in the good habit and get some money for it. It is something that governments have done for years and also companies. For example, again, in Canada, this is something that happens. If you recycle your beer bottles, you get money for that. And in the United States. That is something that they do. And it's quite weird, actually, because what you get is you get homeless people going around and collecting all of the rubbish and then taking it to the recycling center to make money. So it kind of gives a job to homeless people. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not, because it's probably below minimum wage. Learning, practicing, speaking together is a win-win situation. Both people improve. That's right, Sleepwalker. And it's important to remember that even if you're speaking to a non-native, you're still improving your fluency. You are still improving your fluency. Yes, fossilized errors. Oh no, big trouble, blah, blah, blah. Fossilized errors are not the end of the world. Fluency is important. The most important. Programs to help people study abroad will bring a win-win situations. It is a win-win situation. After they complete their degree, they can contribute a meaning and assistance to the community. Cross-promotional marketing. That's a pretty good one, Pavia. I'd quite like to get involved in some of that. Could you hit up some other English channels on my behalf? See if you can hook me up with some English channels who want to do some cross-promotional marketing. Manuel Gorrillo says, the more you give your employee, the more ambience at work you can get. Motivation means raising a salary and getting a promotion. I think they have done some research in that, Manuel Gordillo, and they found that salary is one of the least effective ways of improving employee motivation. There's much more effective ones like praise and work environment and so on. Oh, that's a good one, Tetsuro. Well done. People give cats food and cats give us healing. It's a win-win situation. Pepper! Come on, Pepper. Come and perform. Come on. Come on. She woke up, but she doesn't look like she wants to perform. I think, yeah, I should just leave her. She might come and bother us later. All right, folks. All right, well done. So we have made it to the end of today's class. And we have some homework and question time. So I think probably let's start with question time. You can, of course, download the notes from today's class from bit.ly/optimisticenglish. That's where you can download the notes from today. And I will, of course, put that link down below this video in the description. In addition, if you would like to give your thanks to Prof. Rich, give me a tip for the stream, you can buy me a coffee at the link there in the chat, which is bit.ly/thankyouRich. Minimum donation of £5. You don't have to, but of course, if you do, it's appreciated. And there is a benefit to that, which is, if you do it, you may request a class on a specific topic, and I will do it. I will do it. So do check out that. Now, I am going to just prepare the homework while you guys get your questions in. We had submissions from Pallavi and Anawat. Hi, everyone. No spoilers. And there was someone else, I think. Was it Vladimir? Oh, yeah, Vladimir.
Day one.
Great. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. What's this, man? Well, it says a win-win situation at work is equal salary for the same task. No discrimination, women and men. It's the best method for your business soaring at the speed of life. Indeed. Pallavi says, my homework is awesome. Patrick says, I did voice chat with GPT. Give me tips on how to do it effectively. Do you say anything how to do for my speaking? I'm not sure that ChatGPT can be that useful for speaking. It's very useful for vocabulary, for grammar, for other things, but speaking in particular, I'm not sure that I would entirely say that. What's this from Dan? Is it a mistake provided by the Cambridge English Dictionary to hold something against somebody means to consider something as a reason to have a bad opinion about somebody? Consider is followed by to be, not as. To consider something. No, it's fine, Dan. Both of those are fine. Yeah, it's fine. I consider it as. I consider that you're right that to be sounds a bit better. To consider something to be a reason. Yeah, but you can consider something as well. I consider this as a good way to study English. Yes, it's fine, Dan. Questions, folks. Questions. Hello. Shall I go and get another coffee while you have a think about some questions? All right. Sleepwalker. Is it natural to say 10 o'clock? Let me just go full screen. Is it natural to say 10 o'clock in the evening? Or is it better to say 10 o'clock when it's morning? 10 o'clock in the evening's fine. And 10 o'clock in the morning is fine. No problem there. So there's plenty of different ways of talking about time. We can say, I'll see you at 10. I'll see you about 7 o'clock. I'll see you about 7 o'clock in the evening. I'll see you about 7:10. 7:10, about 10 past 7, 10 past 7, 7:15. Quarter past seven in the evening. Yeah. It's quite rare that we use the 24-hour clock. So it's quite rare that we say, I will see you at 1300 hours. That we call that the military time, to say like 1300 hours or 1400 hours. It was used in World War II and maybe previous wars, I don't know. I only know it was used in World War II because my grandfather, both my grandfathers, who fought in World War II, they used military time sometimes, like 1500 hours, 1400 hours. But most people don't use that. They'll just say 10 o'clock or 10 p.m. or 10 in the evening, something like that. So as I've said, different ways of talking about time. It can be useful, Manuel, yeah, to look in different dictionaries. However, I don't think that was this kind of situation. I think in this situation, I think that it just wasn't a mistake. There was just a doubt going on. And actually, Dan's doubt was not about the definition of the word. It was just about the incidental language that they'd written. Dan is focusing very closely on the use of verbs, I can see. Just always be prepared, Dan, that there's flexibility and there are exceptions. And you will make mistakes. No matter how hard you try, you will make mistakes. It's just life. It's communication. It's the way communication works. You know, it's kind of like, imagine that you're a football player, a soccer player. You can't get to a point where every time you kick the ball, you score a goal. That's not possible. You can't get to a point where every pass you make in a football game hits the target. It's not possible. That's like speaking a language. It's the same thing. It's a skill, which means we can't be perfect. So, yes, you want to be a better football player, so you work on your ball control and your stamina and strength and agility and balance and so on. However, you can't be perfect. Not all of your passes will hit the target. You can still be a great passer. You can be one of the world's best, but it won't be 100%. And that is the same with speaking English. For natives as well. It's just natives don't notice their mistakes because they don't care. So here's a question from Pallavi. In the UK, does everyone have to go into the military? No, we don't have that, Pallavi. In the UK, they stopped doing that in the 50s, I believe. Maybe even earlier. We don't have a history of national service here. It's called national service. In Spain, it was the 70s, I think. Did you do the army? You had to do the army, right, Manuel? Did you learn to fire a rifle? I imagine that Manuel has quite strong opinions about this. So, Teacher Mujahid says, hi, Teacher Rich. How many levels are there in the English language? So, measuring levels in language learning is, of course, relative. And we normally refer to one of the global systems for that. Most people, including myself, often refer to the Common European Framework. That's the CEFR. The Common European Framework. And the Common European Framework actually defines 6 stages, 6 binary stages. Obviously, they're not binary, but it defines 6 stages. They are A1, A2, B1, B2, and C1 and C2. And if you have a look on the internet, on Wikipedia and places like that, you can find the qualifiers for each of these levels. As a language teacher, you do become very familiar with these levels. So A1 would be something like My name's Rich. I'm happy today. I like chocolate. Okay, that's like A1. And then A2 would be like, when I was young, I played football. I liked it. It was good. However, sometimes it rained. Okay. All right, something like that. And then B1, we get into things like comparatives. Football is better than basketball. Football is better than basketball for me. I am not very tall. I am quite fast, though. So B1, something like that. So that gives us the basic levels. These are also called elementary, pre-intermediate, and then intermediate here. And you start to get into the big Cambridge tests here. This is where you do PET, the preliminary English test. And then we move on to B2, upper intermediate. And B2 is often the main level for university study. So B2 is what we look for university study. That's a minimum of a 6.5 in IELTS, I believe, off the top of my head. So we move on to B2, upper intermediate. And with this, we start to do things like present perfect continuous. So upper intermediate, you can see, is quite a significant step up from intermediate. And that's why here we have a big border and we call this the intermediate plateau. The intermediate plateau, which I misspelt. The intermediate plateau. And this is a feeling that you're not making progress as a student. It's a feeling that you're not making progress. So you hit B1 and then you get to the intermediate plateau and you feel like you're not improving. And then finally you hit B2. Right? B2 is a good level. When you get to B2, it's like, oh yeah, you can talk. You can have a conversation and it's not grindingly difficult, right? And then we move on to C1. Now C1 is an amazing level. C1 is advanced. And at C1, you know, you're dancing on the clouds, right? At C1, you love English. You have problems, you make some mistakes, but we're not talking about mistakes here. We're talking about what you can do. So with C1, you're going to be saying stuff like... So you can see advanced gets kind of fancy. There's a couple of advanced people there in the chat. I'm going to get together with a couple of friends this weekend, and I'm hoping we'll have the chance to really catch up on the last few years. Haven't seen them in ages, to be honest. If I thought about it sooner, we may well have arranged something, but you know how it goes. Time flies. Does C1 level imply that you have an accent? At C1, it's something like, if there is an accent, it does not impede understanding. It does not impede comprehension of an average listener. Something like that, right? So what they normally say is at B2, if there's an accent, then a charitable or sympathetic listener can understand you. But at C1, we say everyone can understand you. So you can have an accent, that's fine. Like, hello, welcome to La France. Come to my restaurant. Have a wine. Come to my restaurant. I am in France. I am from Paris. Right, accent, no problem. Do you understand? That's the question. If it doesn't impede understanding, it's no problem. So the question is, does it impede comprehension of an average listener? That's the question at C1. And C2 is proficiency. And I'm not going to talk about proficiency because proficiency is clown time. Yeah. It's a synthetic level. I'm not a big fan of C2 material for learning English either. I think C1 material is better. I think even if you want to get proficiency, I think C1 material is better. Don't bother with proficiency material, in my opinion. C1 material is good, but you need a good teacher who can help you with the proficiency. Pallavi says, are you addicted to coffee? Yes, I am. For sure I am. I could quit, but I am addicted. Do you know who made the English language? That's an impossible thing to say, Pallavi. That's like asking, do you know who made rock music? In fact, do you know who made rock music is an easier question to answer. It's like saying, do you know who made singing? How valid is this point? Well, it's totally valid, isn't it? What does it mean when something is valid? It means that the premises are true and the argument is rational. And the argument is, if something is a bestseller, it may not resonate with every reader. That's the argument. So then we say that Atomic Habits is a bestseller, therefore it may not resonate with every reader. I've kind of written that in a weird way, but yeah, basically, yeah, it's valid. Of course not. There's loads of bestsellers that I don't like. Just because something's a bestseller definitely does not indicate that it will resonate with every reader. What resonates with every reader? What kind? Name one book. Name one book. Name one book that resonates with every reader. Name one sentence which resonates with every reader. What about the sentence, I am? I bet there's loads of people who don't like that. Name one sentence which resonates with everyone positively. It's It's not possible. Not possible. It's interesting you keep talking about that, Manuel, Pillars of the Earth, because they recently made a video game about it. Patrick says, love is blind. No, I hate it. I hate that sentence. It sucks. Sorry, Patrick. I didn't mean that. But I'm just demonstrating that. No. You can't find one that resonates with everyone. You can't find one. I want to be happy. Yeah, with some people. Some people might look at that and go, what? Come on, be realistic. It's not going to resonate with everyone. Well, Pallavi, what you should do is make a weak coffee and then add it to 90% milk, full fat milk. Beauty Will Save the World by Dostoevsky. Oh, hello, hello. Who is hiding behind that Cyrillic alphabet? Someone's being smart here. Hello. I have to say, it's nice. I like it. And I love Dostoevsky. But there's definitely people who don't like it, isn't there? My professor said love and marriage is an agreement. Yeah, it is. I mean, not love. Love is not an agreement. Love is super complicated and involves lots of things. I mean, the components of love. The components of love by Professor Rich. Are you ready for this, folks? I'm going to break it down for you. Are you ready? Here we go. I'm 41. I know what's up. I can tell you everything about love. I want a heart emoji. Not black heart. That sounds terrible. And I think we should have a party popper in there because I have no idea what I'm talking about. The Components of Love by Prof. Rich. Attraction, which comes and goes. Come on, folks. You're going to be with someone for 50, 60 years. Let's not pretend that attraction will be there all the time. Attraction's a natural thing anyway. Sometimes you just don't feel any attraction, right? To anything. To anything. So attraction, which comes and goes, let's be realistic. But attraction is, you got to have some, right? I think, to love. To love. Compassion. Understanding. Friendship. Commitment. Trust. Oh, we're getting close now, aren't we? Attraction, compassion, understanding, friendship, commitment, trust. Duty? That's kind of commitment, isn't it? Maybe that's it. I'm going to say X factor. Now, that is very interesting, Anouat. Does your personality or character change when you speak another language? So, anecdotally, which means from my position as a teacher and from talking to other teachers, yes, it does. So we do see students that are, for example, very shy in their native language, but when they speak English, they become different, more confident, and have a different personality. So there is some evidence to suggest that anecdotally. There is also some scientific evidence to support that. Specifically, recently, there was some research by Jean-Marc Dewalier, and he is one of the leaders in the area. And I think about 10 years ago, about 2010, he demonstrated that people who speak other languages feel differently when they speak the other language. And that's important because it's that kind of subjective thing. Unfortunately, this means it's quite unreliable because it's a subjective measure, not an objective measure. But it's still interesting nonetheless. Now, even more recently, there was Costa et al., not on colleagues, Costa et al., and he did a study on German-Spanish bilinguals' personality traits, depending on whether they took a personality test in German or Spanish. And they found significantly different scores in extroversion, agreeableness, and conscientiousness. Now that's massive, because that means your work ethic and your social, emotional personality changes when you speak another language. No prizes for guessing which one out of Spanish and German has higher conscientiousness and higher agreeableness. What do you think? An extroversion, folks? Who's more extroverted, the Spanish or the Germans? So this is really interesting stuff, and you are touching on a very interesting topic in sociolinguistics. That's the area of study. What type of grammar is taught at each level of the English language, says teacher Mujahid. Yeah, so kind of topics form in your head for this. And obviously, I'm not going to go through them all. The best way of looking at this is just take a look at some course books and just look at each level. Look in the contents page and you'll see the topics. But we tend to know these topics off by heart. A1 is to be, hobbies, present continuous, some past simple towards the end. Okay. And then A2, we go past simple, past continuous, adjectives, more adjectives, some adverbs. Okay. And you might have some present perfect simple. And then B1, we move into present perfect versus past simple. So we want to compare those. We get some comparatives and superlatives. We get more adjectives, more adverbs. We get going to. You might get going to at A2. I would teach going to at A2. But okay, you get going to, you get will for predictions, and then you get will for decisions. Also, these might also fit into A2. Then moving on to B2, then you get most of the conditionals, except the third conditional. Third conditional is normally at advanced level, but all right, let's just say all the conditionals. All the conditionals, advanced comparisons. And if you're wondering what advanced comparisons means, it means like Spain is much larger than Ireland. The Antarctic is by far the coldest in bum bum bum, right? So things like by far and much larger and stuff like that. So it gets kind of a bit more complicated. What else would be to... we get speculation and deduction. So modals for advanced stuff. So he must be a chef because stuff like that. All right, I'm not going to go any further. You get the idea. But the best way to check that is pick up a course book at a certain level and look at the contents page. I'll give you an example of that right now. So we pick up a course book. I'll show you one of the course books that I love right now. This is a great course book. It's called Language Hub. Really impressed by it. And this is the C1 level. So this is the C1 level. It's a book from Macmillan called Language Hub. Highly recommend it. Macmillan, if you want to sponsor me, get on the line because this course book is fantastic. And if we take a look at the topics that we'll see at C1 here. Then you can see stuff like nominal clauses, comparatives and superlatives, but way more complicated than the intermediate ones. Narrative tenses, which means all past tenses, past perfect continuous, used to, past simple, past continuous, so narrative tenses, all of them. The future in the past, which is basically would or was going to. Conditionals without if, wishes and regrets, the passive and passive reporting structures. So you can see the kind of things that you get. And the best way of finding that, finding the grammar at a certain level, just to pick up a course book and take a look at that. You can see also, next page, all the stuff we've got. ING, infinitive forms, it clefting. Everybody loves cleft sentences. What clefting and all clefting. Relative clauses with complex relative pronouns and determiners. So, yeah, that's the kind of stuff you'll see at C1. Pavia says, can free will truly exist in a deterministic universe, or are our choices merely an illusion? Maybe you'll like entering it because it comes into your field of expertise. A challenge for you. It's not a challenge at all. Can free will exist in a deterministic universe? So a deterministic universe means is a pure cause and effect universe. In other words, everything in the universe is an effect which has a cause. Therefore, with omnipotence, we may know every effect before it happens, as we have all the causes. So that is the idea of a deterministic universe and determinism. Now, can we have free will in a purely deterministic universe? Well, it actually depends on a few things. First of all, how do you define universe? Does universe mean everything that possibly exists, or does it mean everything in the material world? And what is the material world? So there's a big question of what is the universe? Because there's the universe and then there's everything that exists, right? Broadly speaking, in science, we agree that the universe had a start and will have an end. This is, broadly speaking, something that scientists agree on. They agree that the universe had a start and will have an end. Therefore, we could capitalize universe as well. Why not? I'm not going to, actually. Therefore, what was there before the universe? And scientists, atheist scientists, will say nothing. There was nothing before the universe. The universe came from nothing in something called the Big Bang. Out of nothing came something. So the Big Bang was the first cause. Now, if that is the case, then we no longer have a deterministic universe because we have an effect without a cause. So you have to make an exception. You have to say, well, actually, we can have certain effects, like the Big Bang, which don't need a cause. Special effect. Special effects. Special effects. Notice I've used FX in a kind of trendy way like they did in the 80s. Special effects like the Big Bang. Oh, okay. So not every effect needs a cause. So we have a way out. So maybe free will is also a special effect. Why not? If you're going to have a special effect that's your Big Bang, then why can't you have free will as a special effect? So that's one argument you can make. Another argument that I would make is that for me, it helps to talk about a double-decker bus. Helps to talk about a double-decker bus. I'm going to get the help of ChatGPT here to draw. Let's get a drawing from ChatGPT to help us there. So we're going to talk about a double-decker bus. Are you ready for this, Pavia? Have you heard this before? The double-decker bus. So life is a double-decker bus. Existence is a double-decker bus, actually. It's a double-decker bus. Famous in England, the double-decker bus. On the lower level of the double-decker bus, you have material, science, even logic, all of that stuff. Logic, material, and science, it's on the lower level of the double-decker bus. And what you call the universe, if you refer to the deterministic universe, is lower level of the double-decker bus. And that can include everything that you can measure and predict. Everything that you can measure and predict perfectly. If you can measure and predict it perfectly, it's lower level. If you can use some instrument to measure it and predict it perfectly, it's lower level. So what's the upper level? What's the upper level, folks? Well, let me tell you about the upper level. The upper level is a bit different than the lower level. Now, there might be some of you who don't believe in the upper level. That's all right. You don't need to. You can keep living on the lower level in the material, predictable, logical world, where possibly determinism is true and everything we do is predetermined, and we are nothing but androids living in an organic carbon shell. Every thought that we have has already been had. Every action that we take in our life is already predetermined. That's basically the lower level. However, some of us connect and believe in the upper level. It's a funny thing, the upper level. Because, I think they put it best in the Tao, the Dao Zizong, when they said The Tao that can be spoken of is not the real Tao. And that's the upper level. You can't really speak about it. You can try, actually. And, we try. As I've spoken about before, I go to church. We try and speak about it there. Try to speak about it with spiritual friends. A lot of my best friends have different spiritual beliefs. Some of them do meditation. Some of them are involved in rather interesting practices, which I'm not going to mention, spiritual practices. Got Buddhists, Muslims, Christians, obviously, as a Christian myself. And I do find a lot of power in Christianity and having faith in Christianity. And I've done a stream on that if you want to know more about my beliefs and what Christianity means. Here's a spoiler. Jesus is pretty important with Christianity. Knowing and accepting Jesus as the Son of God. But actually speaking about the upper level is tricky. Because if we apply logic or science or things like that to the upper level, it's not upper level anymore, it's lower level. So it's kind of like taking a photo with a digital camera to show someone what is a painting. So imagine showing someone what a painting is by using a digital camera. So the only possible thing you can use is a digital camera. And you're going to show someone what a painting is. But a digital camera doesn't show a painting because it turns it into zeros and ones and suddenly it behaves differently. If you zoom in enough on a digital photo, you can see the pixels. So that's not a painting anymore. So it's a bit like that. All right, enough mystical smishtical. I've gone off the rails. Pallavi, I've gone off the rails. My Pallavi love respect our elders and the people who care for us. Yeah, that's a different kind of love, isn't it? I was kind of talking about commitment and romantic love. Love is a rabbit hole, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Reported speech. What are we talking about here? Oh, about the grammar for B2. Yeah. I'm here because I love English. I don't want to be Eric Blair. George Orwell. People shouting out the topics. In the year 5555, we're alive. The human being will go from Earth to Jupiter. With their thoughts. Yeah, it's possible. Oh, Mujahid says, may God bless you. Thank you very much, Mujahid. May God also bless you. And guide you and give you wisdom. As we hope and pray he will do for all of us. So can you say which vocabulary comes on A1, A2? Oh, do I have to keep going through this? Just take a look in the books, Pachu. You can find it. There's common topics that come up, right? So A1, what do? You do house and home. You do places near me. You do family, okay? A2, what do? You do holidays, right? You do animals. You do work, etc., etc., etc. In the course books, you can find that stuff, Pachu. It's the best. You can just Google it. Just say what topics come up at different levels in the CEFR, and you'll get it. Bum, 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 bum. What's the difference between beginner and elementary in terms of level? Well, that's a good question. I say nothing, but some people have a new level, which is A0. They say that's beginner. And then A1 is elementary. So sometimes some academies and some people differentiate beginner from elementary. So beginner is like you have not learned any English, right? Whereas elementary is you're learning the basics. Yeah, something like that, Julia. So the upper level is intangible. There's a nice word for you. Intangible. Which means you can't touch it. You can't touch it. Which, of course, may well remind you of famous painting from Michelangelo called The Creation of Adam. Do you know this one? And of course, what we notice about this is that they're not touching. You cannot touch the divine. Can't touch it. It's intangible. It's upper level. Well, thank you, Pavia. I don't think it's the best. I don't think I did best there. I did okay. I haven't been reading up on philosophy for some time, but it is a basic question of philosophy, isn't it? Determinism and free will. Be wary of philosophy professors. They will have better answers. Don't try and trip them up with that stuff that I used. Mathematical equations may produce non-determinate behavior. For example, theory of chaos. Many people misunderstand maths. Really? Really? Mathematical equations may produce non-deterministic behavior. Really? Is that really true? I mean, because I know we could talk about things like randomness in computers, but randomness in computers is actually predictable because it's a predetermined sequence of strings. What's the meaning of that art? Well, what's the meaning of any art, Pachu? It's a complicated issue, isn't it? I think it's supposed to be Adam and God. And it may well be one of the pieces of art responsible for the conception of God as a guy with a beard. And these things around God are angels. This was the Renaissance idea of it, really, made by Michelangelo. And this guy is called Adam. He basically represents humanity. He's us. This is us. One of the most famous paintings of all time. And you can see that in the Sistine Chapel. The Sistine Chapel. Well, that's a really interesting question, Pavia. And I think most people would reference the King James Bible. Most people would reference the King James Bible, sometimes called the KJV. There was a quote recently from Richard Dawkins. Richard Dawkins is a famous atheist. And he said, one cannot begin to understand classic English literature without having a grasp of the King James version of the Bible. Something like that. So even atheists would testify to the effect that the King James version of the Bible has on English. I mean, first of all, there's the idioms. I mean, that's kind of the obvious thing, the idioms. There's loads of idioms. So the skin of my teeth, for dropping the bucket, labour of love, fight the good fight, out of the mouth of babes. Loads of idioms, but also just certain words and the way people use them. Like, behold, it is I, Prof. Rich. Behold. Right, words like behold really have that kind of power. Could be. Behold, it's Prof. Rich coughing to death. Ugh. I think maybe the stream's gone on quite a long time, considering that I'm ill. It's not a cold, Pachu, it's a virus. But it's on the way out. I think we should move on to the homework, folks. It's been fun, though. So, homework. Here we are. So if you remember, the homework was quite an interesting one. That you had to record yourself speaking about a plan to do a robbery, but don't read from a script. And we had this lovely map here. You can see all kinds of fun stuff going on there. And some information as well. And the idea is that people had to plan a robbery to steal the diamond in the museum. So, let's have a listen to people's different plans. I've just got 3 to listen to. So, let's see who we got. Let's start with Anawat. Let's have a listen. What do we got?
Hi everyone, how's it going? Today I'm gonna uncover my plan to steal the Blue Eyes diamond. This must be the greatest diamond heist in history. Here is my plan. First and foremost, I'll pretend to visit the museum in the afternoon at around 3:30, and then I'll manage to hide in a sarcophagus in the Egyptian room until midnight, just to avoid crowded people after I escape from the museum. Once it's midnight, I'll emerge from the sarcophagus and hide behind the door, waiting for the guard to check the Egyptian room as usual. As soon as the guard enters into the room, I'll need to swiftly and silently attack him from behind, using chloroform to render him unconscious in just a few seconds. Once he totally passes out, I'm gonna hide him in a chest in the Indian room, get the first key, and get changed with his uniform. After I disguise as the guard I'll be able to walk through the diamond room, the costume room, and the Roman room without the guard noticing anything suspicious. When I get to the security room, I'm gonna knock the guard out like the guard and get the second key. At this moment, the ball is in my court, so to speak. Oh, I won't forget to disable the phone and the security cameras before I go to the diamond room, just to delay the process of investigation of the police. So this time next week, there'll be breaking news about this robbery. Please don't reveal my secret to anybody. you'd have to ponder the ramifications of your safety if you spill the beans about my plan. Thanks
Brilliant.
for listening.
Oh, that's brilliant, Nanawat. Fantastic.
Hi everyone, how's
Thank you very much. That was brilliant. You have to ponder the ramifications of you. That was a nice use of ponder the ramifications there in the background. Well done. I am gonna show you my plan, by the way, Pavia. I do have a plan. I recorded this 6 years ago when I was doing my diploma in teaching English as a foreign language. But I will play that for you in a moment. Well done there, Anawat. And you'll notice I've typed the future time clauses that I noticed Anawat using. So well done to that. Let's have a listen to Vladimir.
Day 1. I enter the museum and entrance F and buy a ticket at the ticket office. Night 2. I enter the museum and go to the security room asking guard 1, where is my guide for night at the museum? And then I lock him at the cupboard at security room. And then I wait for one hour the second guard to enter the security room. Then I lock him at the cupboard too. Take the uniform pack and 2 keys and the blue eyes diamond room G and steal it. And I'm not worried about the cameras because I think that both guards will be ashamed to miss the stealing. Day 1.
All right, thank you very much, Vladimir. Not so much future time clauses, but I'm impressed because Vladimir is not speaking with a script here, as he did previously in the past. He was reading stuff, but now we're getting spontaneous Vladimir. So well done for that, and it was really good. Thank you. All right, and now we're moving on to, you ready for this? Pallavi.
Hello teacher, today we are planning a robbery in which we are going to steal a diamond from the museum, which is kept behind a glass door. Okay, so first we will head to the museum at 12. We need 4 people. 2 will be stand outside of the museum and 1 will go with me. And first we enter the museum, we will take the tickets from the ticket counter and then we will go directly to the Roman room, which is near the men's toilet. Okay, we will hide in the room, and all the rooms have entrance and exit ways, so it's easy to hide there. Okay, we can hide, and there's only 2 security cameras in front of the glass door and and outside of the building. We need to go inside the security room because there's everything we have to do. Okay, so in the security room we will we will change into the guard's uniform because there's an extra guard's uniform, and we will take the alarm keys. We will off the security cameras as well. We will done everything here, and after that we will go to the diamond room, and there's the 2 guards. We will distract them, and we'll take the diamonds and we'll replace the fake one because maybe it's kind of I don't know why I think this. Okay, and then we will get out of this museum. That's it. I know this is not good. This is too bad. But I think it's okay to feel embarrassed in front of you, teacher. Maybe And I want to ask you that, do I speak naturally, teacher? Thank you so much for checking my homework, and have a good day as always.
That was brilliant, Pallavi. Thank you very much. Absolutely fantastic. I'm very, very impressed by that. And you communicated very well. And it reveals something that you can learn, actually, which is the future time clauses. Because that is really what you needed. You needed these future time clauses. You used some of them, and you'll notice that I put that while in the security room, we'll, and after that, we'll go. They are two future time clauses that you used. You can see some other options here that you could have used, and I think would really improve your plan. So let's listen to someone else. Are you ready for this? We're going to listen to my plan. And when you listen to my plan, I'd like you to notice and type in the chat all of the future time clauses that you hear. So, type all the future time clauses which you hear me use in my plan. All right? Type all the future time clauses which you hear me use in my plan. I recorded this 6 years ago. You ready? 8 years ago. What? So that's a picture of me 8 years ago. What? Look pretty much the same, to be honest. Maybe not exactly the same. Yeah, that was in that picture's in Italy, in Milan. Okay. Let's have a listen. Okay, so this is my plan. Let me just adjust the volume a little bit. Okay, so this is my plan. I think I'll wait inside the building until the museum closes. I'm not sure there's any other way of getting into the museum. Once it closes, I'll need a place to hide. The Egyptian room seems like a good place to hide to me. I'll probably hide in a sarcophagus. Then I'll have to wait until the guard goes past, the guard who is patrolling, and I'll steal a key from his pocket. If he notices me, obviously, I'll have to run. I won't be able to do anything unless I get that key. Then I'll have to try and get the other key from the security room cupboard. Unless the other guard leaves, it'll be really difficult. I'll probably wait until the change of the guard to see if I get a chance. If I get the other key, I can take the spare security uniform on the way out and then run to the diamond room, open the door and take the diamond. Once I have the diamond, I'll be able to escape through the window. Oops, that wasn't quite it. Well, there was just one more sentence, so it doesn't really matter, which is, it'll all be fine unless I run into the patrolling guard. That's the final one. I'll put the script in there. That's the script that I used. I wrote the script, but that is the script I used. And that lesson is one of the observed lessons that I did as part of my teaching diploma. It focuses on future time clauses, and you can see some of the information there about that if you wish to take a further look at that. There's the form of the future time clauses. Future time clauses when we use if, unless, once, until, after, before, etc. to talk about the future. And you can have some great practice with those, actually. I'll show you right now. So practice with future time clauses with these. So you just take these sentences and complete them in your own way. So after this class finishes, I'm gonna meet my friend for a coffee. And if the weather's good tomorrow, I'm gonna go to the beach. When I earn a lot of money, I will buy a Ferrari. I'm gonna play some video games before I go to bed today. Right, so you complete these sentences with your own ideas, and that's the practice with future time clauses. So, thank you very much, everybody, for joining me today. Do smash that like button and hit subscribe. My name has been Professor Rich. I wish you all a lovely and blessed and holy weekend so you can refresh and enjoy yourself and feel inspired and go into the next week with energy and invigoration and just work towards those goals. Keep in mind those ideas that are going to get you to the place where you want to go. Keep the passion, keep the creativity, and discover the joy in life. That's what we're all about here. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time. Thank you very much, folks. Catch you later.